Hi, welcome to Street Priest Ministries. I'm your host, Brother Jay, as we're taking the Gospels back to the streets. Today's drive-through message is the Apocrypha, Ezra, 1611, King James, V8. Boy, that was a mouthful. These are the best of times. These are the worst of times. These are biblical times. And as the weeks roll along, these words that I say unto you will become pregnant and more meaning. For those that know, we can't sleep. And for those that don't know, they are asleep. In these times, right, in these biblical times that we're in, those that are asleep don't remain asleep. No, I guess it's no hope for them. They're zombies, not even living dead. But even in history, the Bible, wherever you want to go, it's always a remnant that gets it. There's a remnant that formed this nation. It's a third, roughly a third, that was willing to take up arms, bear arms, and form this republic and defend this republic against King George and his boys. Now, nothing's changed pretty much. You got, back then, during those times, you had 1/3 that was indifferent, they didn't care. They're like the bunch that's zombied out today. They just red the surface, pretty much, what they're about. You had that bunch back then. Then you had a third that actually liked King George. They said, what the problem is? Well, the problem with this king, why you want to go start in trouble? You always had the bootleggers. Red the circus and bootleggers. And then you have the patriots. Those that await. Those are the free men and free women that want freedom. And we're facing tyranny right now. For those of us that are awake, we understand what it looks like, especially us that are very astute and well read in history. We've seen this movie before. Tyranny always looks the same. It always comes wearing a mask. I'm here to help you, give you free this and free that, and to go after the bourgeoisie, the rich, divide and conquers, their MO. And then you end up with an oligarchy. They got all the power. Or a dictator despot. That's what history has taught us, especially when it comes to Marxism and socialism. There were 200 million dead, and they used the same roadmap to kill them all. Same roadmap. Same lies. Same sugar-coated, poisonous lie. So I'm glad it looked like it's starting to see a buzz out there. And people are rising up and saying, we're mad as hell, and we're not going to take it anymore. You're not going to ram your medical tyranny down our throat anymore. People are waking up from this Orwellian, dystopian nightmare. That's what it is. That's what hell is. Hell is one big giant madhouse, insane asylum. And those that follow Satan, the perverts that follow him. Satan, when they say the name is the perverse one, I just call them perverts. Those that are in the old culture, that are locked and boosted up behind the kingdom of darkness, perverts. But they are the ones that create the insanity because they're lawless. They're following the lawless one. Satan himself. I did a video, give my video, when lawlessness abounds. And you got one big insane asylum right on the streets. They're teaching madness in the schools. Goofy math. Ridiculous history. There ain't no history really. They're actually trying to erase that. They divide and conquer. That's what they're doing. You get the masses divide and conquer. And divide them on every front you can imagine. Social, economic, ethnicity, you name it. That's what they're good at. And then erect in this place, tyranny. That's what they're good at. Because they serve the God of this world and persecute the righteous. And that's what this book we're getting ready to read is about. The persecution of the righteous. And God said, I had enough of this three-headed, vulturous eagle bird ruling earth. Its time's up. God got a clock set on tyranny. Got a clock set on this whole world. Gonna burn this whole world up. And start over. I know it's hard for some of you to imagine that, but God's gonna create a new heaven and a new earth. It's not even gonna have a sea. No sea, no water. So, that's why we would be loose in the saddle down here. Heaven's our home for pilgrims and strangers. God's doing his end time harvest for everybody now. It's a biblical time. He's ready to start pouring out his spirit on all flesh around the world. And then we get near in. God's going to draw the curtain on this whole beast system. Now, if you're new, this is what we're reading from. You can purchase this. It's called the Apocrypha. You can get the book itself, the Apocrypha. That's what we're reading from. It used to be in the Bible for 200 years. The Apocrypha was in the Bible. It was taken out. 1611 King James, which this is, has the Apocrypha in it. You can get the 1611 King James. You want to follow along with the teaching. Because we're here at Street Priests, we're going to be on the Apocrypha. And pretty much stay on there. We done read through the whole Bible in its entirety pretty much from Genesis 1 to Revelation 22. So you can look that teaching up. And we got roughly over 3,000, I know at least overall, minimum over 3,000 hours of teaching in over the years. So you can look it up. We don't talk through the whole Bible. And some books we might lightly gloss over, like Lamentations or something like that. But all the main books we done hit. New Testament, and we touched on some of the others. So look that teaching up. But we're going to delve into the Apocrypha and start bearing our way through this. Burrowing our way through this. All right, let me go. Now, if you got a Bible like mine, if you got a Bible like mine, there's no number either. So you got to find it. All right, so I'm going to pick up so we can get back in the swing of things with this. I'm going to start, even though we read this, just to get us in tune with what's going on. So Ezra 11:36. You got a Bible like mine. 11:36, verse 36, chapter 11. Then I heard a voice which said unto me, Look before thee, and consider the thing that thou seest, and behold, lo, as it were a roaring lion, as Christ Jesus, chased out of the wood. And I saw that his tent out of a man's voice unto the eagle. Oh, he sent a man's voice out unto the eagle, and said, Hear thou, I will talk with thee, and the highest shall say unto thee, Art not thou it that remains of the four beasts whom I made to reign in my world, that the end of their times might come through them? God's in control, so relax. I even did a video called God's Despots. He said, I'll raise up the basis of men in Daniel. He's in control of these despots. I don't care where you go. God is in total control. It's his earth. Cattle on 1,000 hills belong to him. Excuse me. So he's in control, so you can relax. If he wasn't, man probably would have blew the earth up a long time ago. Excuse me. And I beheld, and lo, as it were a roaring lion, chases out of the wood, being chased out of the wood. And I saw that he sent out a man's voice unto the eagle, and said, Hear thou. So the lion talking like a man. I will talk with thee, and the highest shall say unto thee, Art not thou it that remaineth of the four beasts, whom I made to reign in my world, that the end of their times might come through them? And the fourth came and overcame all the beasts that were past, and had power over the world, with great fearfulness, and over the whole compass of the earth, with much wicked oppression. And so long time dwell he upon the earth with deceit. This is a deceitful evil, an adulterous evil, greed. For the earth hast thou not judged with truth. The earth had been judged with truth for a long time. I agree. For thou hast afflicted the meek. Thou hast hurt the peaceable. Thou hast loved liars, and destroyed the dwelling of them that bore forth fruit. People that's into agriculture. And has to cast down the walls. They're tearing down now. Down the walls of such as did ye done harm. Therefore is their wrongful dealings come up unto the heights, and not pride unto the might. Now it says, I believe it's 1 Peter 1:5-8, God resisteth the proud. 1:5-9, God resisteth the proud, but giveth grace to them. It says the same thing in James. So this is a prideful evil. Thou hast also looked upon thy proud times, and behold, they are ended. God got a clock set on everybody and everything. And his abominations are fulfilled. And therefore, appear no more, thou evil, nor thy horrible wings, nor thy wicked feathers. Now, I don't know if many of you know that The feathers and the wings of an eagle are deadly. He can cut you with his wings like razor blades. They're very sharp. Nor thy wicked feathers, nor thy malicious head, nor thy hurtful claws, nor all thy vain body. The literal is thy worthless body. That all the earth may be refreshed, and may return being delivered from thy bonds, and that she may hope for indulgence and mercy of him that made it. And it came to pass, while the lion spake these words unto the eagle, I saw, and behold, the head that remained and the four wings appeared no more. And the two went into it, and set themselves up to reign. And their kingdom was small and full of, I don't know what this word is, full of proof. I don't know, approve. And I saw, behold, there appeared no more, and the whole body of the eagle was burnt, so that the earth. Now, I told you, this is that Babylonian whore church justice system, or religious system, religious order. And only one that fits that criteria. It would be wrong just to cut you to the chase. If a fire was to break out. And behold, the head that remained and the four wings appeared no more. And the two went unto it and set themselves up to reign, and their kingdom was small and full. I wish I knew what that word was. Pores, I guess. And I saw, and behold, there appeared no more. And behold, the body of the eagle was burnt, so that the earth was in great fear. Then awakened I out of my trouble, and trials of my words. So I'm not going to lose sight here with this light. And great fear, and unto my spirit, lo, this has done unto me, in that thou searchest out the ways of the highest. Lo, yet I am weary in my mind, and very weak in my spirit. And little strength is there in me, so he's just pooped out, drained. For the great fear wherewith I was affrighted was this now. Therefore I will now beseech thee, highest, that thee will comfort me unto the end. And I said, lo, thou bearest rule, if I have found grace before thy sight, and if I am justified with thee before many others, and if my prayer indeed be come up before thy face, comfort me then, and show me the segment, the interpretation
and plain difference of thy fearful vision, that thou mayest be perfectly comforted, my soul. And amidst perfectly comfort, my soul, for thou hast judged me worthy to show me the last times, and said unto me, this is the interpretation of the vision. The eagle whom thou sawest come up from the sea is the kingdom. Now this parallels John the Revelator's a beast coming up out of the sea, but it was a dragon-like beast with 7 heads and 10 horns. 7 heads representing the 7 kingdoms that this beast horror system, this horror religious system, has ruled over. And Jezebel, the horror riding on top of the beast, represents a church, a corrupt church that's having intercourse with the kings of these nations. And it was a rich church. As you read about all the goblets and the jewels and everything. Which was a scene in the vision of thy brother Daniel, see, too. But it was not expounded unto him. Therefore now I declare unto thee, behold, the days will come, that there shall rise up a kingdom upon the earth, and it shall be feared above all other kingdoms that were before it. In the same shall 12 kings reign, one after another. That represents the 12 wings. That was Rome he's talking about, the Roman Empire. Julius Caesar and through the rest of the Roman emperors. In the same shall reward, or in the same shall the 12 kings reign, one after another. Wherefore the second shall begin to reign, and shall have more time than any of the 12. And this doth the 12th reign. For the voice which thou heardest speak, and that which thou sawest, not to go out from the heads, lest but from the midst of the body thereof. The voice came from the midst of the body, not the heads. This is the interpretation, that after the time of the kingdoms, there shall arise great strivings, and it shall stand in peril of falling. Nevertheless, it shall not. I was about to do some changing here. And after a little time in the kingdom, there shall arise great strivings. It's going to be in-house fighting. And it shall stand in peril of falling. House divided against itself shall fall. Nevertheless, it will be done. It will be done. Now, I hope you catching, you that have been, a lot of you are advanced. You've been around street priests for a long time. You've done studied Bible prophecy many times. And using all the books at that, not just Revelations. So a lot of you really got it. This is, once you get the formula, it's easy to figure out. Well, it can be difficult because it's in the original language, but it's a little bit more easier when you study like we've studied. You fill in the blanks with this easy. Yet there shall rise a time of the kingdom. There shall arise great strivings, and it shall stand up in peril of falling. It's almost about to collapse. It shall be restored again to its beginning. And whereas thou sawest the 8 small under feather, sticking to her wings. This is the interpretation. And whereas thou sawest the 8 small underwings sticking to her wings, this is the interpretation. That in him there shall arise 8 kings, whose time shall be but for a small, and the years swift, and 2 of them shall perish. The middle time approaching 4 shall be kept until their end begin to approach. But the 2 shall be kept unto the end. In the last days shall the Most High raise up 3 kingdoms, and renew many things. Children, now I hope you're following along with this. God said he won't make any moves without revealing it first to his prophets. And 2 of them shall perish, the middle time approaching, and there shall be kept until the end, the beginnings their reproach. And whereas thou sawest 3 heads resting, this is the interpretation. It is the last days, which is our days, shall the Most High raise up 3 kingdoms. And knew the thing. He took up his kingdoms. In the last days shall the Most High raise up 3 kingdoms, and renew many things. Therein shall they have dominion of the earth, and of those that dwell therein with much oppression above all. They were before them, therefore they are called the heads of the evil. For those are they that these are they that shall accomplish his wickedness, and that shall finish his last end. And whereas thou sawest the great bread appear no more, it signified that one of them shall die upon his bed, and yet with pain.
Now, this 3-headed eagle is a European eagle. Now, Rome is part of the 3-headed eagle, of course. Now, what was the symbol of Rome when they went to war? Raise your hand, class, if you think you know. The Iron Eagle. They had a banner, the Iron Eagle. The Bible is very consistent. It's eagle. Now I know a lot of people, we admit we got to symbol the eagle too. The American bald eagle. But no. So did they over in Europe. Now this 3-headed eagle. Notice the body's the same. That's because it's a Jesuit body. They're good at internal subversion.
In the last days shall the Most High raise up 3 kingdoms, and renew many things therein, and they shall have dominion on the earth, and of those that dwell therein, with much oppression, above all that was before them. Therefore are they called the heads of the eagle. For these are they that shall accomplish his wickedness, and that shall finish his last end. And whereas thou sawest that the great head appeared no more, it signified that one of them shall die upon his bed, and yet in pain.
Who died up on their bed in pain? You get a choice: Germany, Italy, or Russia. All three of them are formed by the Jesuit order. That's what you're looking at. The deep state all in these countries. So I let that sit in for a minute. Now Hitler died with much pain. That was an eagle head that died with much pain.
And those that dwell therein, with much oppression, above all those that were before them. Therefore are they called the heads of the eagle. For these are they that shall accomplish his wickedness, and that shall finish his last end. And whereas thou sawest the great head appear no more, it signified one of them shall die upon his bed, and yet with pain. For the two that remain shall be slain with the sword. For the sword of one shall devour